There's a reason the narcissist suddenly reappears right when you finally stop thinking about them every second. And it's not the reason most people want to believe. Because when someone comes back, your first instinct is emotional. Maybe they miss you. Maybe they realize your value. Maybe losing you changed them. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Missing you and missing control over you are not the same thing. And most people don't realize the difference until they get pulled back into the cycle again. Because narcissists are extremely good at making control feel like love. That's why the relationship felt so intense, so addictive, so emotionally consuming. It wasn't built on stability, it was built on emotional dependency. And dependency creates attachment that feels impossible to break. But here's where everything changes. The moment you finally detach emotionally, the narcissist feels something they rarely tolerate well. Disconnection, not from love, from influence. Because narcissists don't just want access to your presence, they want access to your emotions, your reactions, your attention, your emotional energy. And once that access disappears, they feel it immediately, even if they pretend not to, even if they look completely unbothered. Because narcissists survive psychologically through emotional control. That's why they often seem calm during the breakup itself. And this confuses people deeply, because while you're devastated, they look relieved, cold, unaffected, almost happy. But that phase usually has nothing to do with healing. It has to do with certainty, because during that stage, they still believe they control the emotional connection. They believe you're still attached, still waiting, still emotionally available. And as long as they believe that, they stay comfortable. But eventually something changes. Your energy shifts. You stop checking their page. You stop reacting to indirect messages. You stop trying to be understood. And without realizing it, you start emotionally withdrawing from the cycle. That's when the narcissist begins feeling something unfamiliar, loss of access. And here's what most people miss. Loss of access creates more panic in narcissists than loss of connection ever does. Because control was always the real attachment, not intimacy, not emotional safety, control. That's why they suddenly come back after months of silence. Not when you were crying, not when you were begging for clarity, not when you were trying to fix everything. No, they come back when your emotional availability disappears. And this next part is where people misunderstand everything. Because when narcissists return, they often look emotional, vulnerable, soft, reflective, and for a moment, it feels genuine. They say things like, "I've changed. I realized what I lost. I can't stop thinking about you." And if you spend months wanting accountability, those words hit deeply. Because your brain wants closure. It wants meaning. It wants proof that the pain mattered. And narcissists know that. They know exactly which emotional wounds remain open. That's why their timing feels so precise, because it is. But here's the dangerous part. The return usually isn't about rebuilding love. It's about rebuilding access. Because narcissists don't miss relationships the way healthy people do. Healthy people miss connection. Narcissists miss emotional control. And those are completely different experiences. That's why they often return the moment you become harder to reach emotionally. Because now you represent unfinished control. And unfinished control becomes obsessive. But here's where people get trapped again. Because the narcissist rarely returns with the same energy they left with. That version wouldn't work anymore, so instead, they adapt. They study what failed, and they re-enter differently. Softer tone, more patience, more emotional awareness. Suddenly, they seem like the version you waited for during the relationship. And that illusion is incredibly powerful because now you're no longer comparing them to the person who hurt you yesterday. You're comparing them to the pain of losing what you hoped they could become. And hope is what keeps trauma bonds alive. Because trauma bonds don't survive through pain alone. They survive through intermittent relief. Moments of closeness, moments that feel emotionally real. And narcissists understand that better than most people realize. They know exactly when to create emotional softness, especially after distance, especially after silence. Because silence changes perception. Over time, your brain starts softening memories. The chaos becomes less vivid. The loneliness becomes louder. And suddenly, their return feels comforting instead of dangerous. That's why so many people mistake familiarity for safety. But familiarity doesn't always mean love. Sometimes familiarity is simply conditioning. Your nervous system remembers the cycle, even when your mind knows better. And this is where the narcissist regains influence, not through force, through emotional recognition, a message, a memory, a simple, I miss you. And suddenly, you feel emotionally pulled backward. But here's what most people don't notice. When narcissists say they miss you, what they often miss is who you were inside the dynamic. The version of you that responded immediately. The version of you that over-explained. The version of you that chased clarity. The version of you that emotionally centered them constantly. That's the version they're searching for. Because that version gave them certainty, control, validation, emotional supply. And once that version disappears, their stability around you starts collapsing. That's why healed people trigger narcissists differently. Because healed people stop reacting predictably. They pause, they question, they detach emotionally before responding. And narcissists feel that shift immediately. That's why sometimes the sweetness suddenly disappears. Because once they realize control isn't returning easily, the mask starts cracking again. The guilt returns, the pressure returns, the subtle blame returns. And this next phase reveals everything. Because eventually, their frustration exposes the real motive. Not connection, control. That's why conversations with narcissists often become emotionally exhausting again, even after the changed behavior phase. Because maintaining fake emotional transformation takes effort. And control patterns always resurface eventually, especially when they stop getting the emotional reactions they expected. That's when the confusion begins again. Mixed signals, hot and cold behavior, emotional inconsistency, moments of closeness followed by distance. And suddenly, you feel emotionally unstable again. That instability isn't accidental, because emotionally stable people are harder to control. And narcissists understand that deeply. That's why confusion becomes one of their strongest tools. Confused people stay emotionally engaged. Confused people keep analyzing, keep waiting, keep hoping, and hope keeps the emotional door open. But here's a realization that changes everything. Real love doesn't need emotional confusion to survive. Real love doesn't disappear until you heal. It doesn't return only after losing influence over you. And it definitely doesn't rely on emotional instability to maintain connection. That's why understanding narcissistic behavior changes your entire perspective. Because now, you stop seeing their return as romantic. You start seeing it as reactive, a response to losing emotional access. And once you see that clearly, their behavior becomes predictable. Not magical, not mysterious, predictable. You notice the patterns, the timing, the emotional shifts, the calculated softness, and suddenly you realize something painful. The narcissist didn't come back because they deeply valued you emotionally. They came back because your detachment threatened their control. And threat and control always creates reaction, especially in narcissistic dynamics. Because narcissists struggle deeply with emotional replacement, not because they can't find new people, because new people don't carry the same emotional history, the same established influence, the same psychological access. That's why they revisit old connections repeatedly, not always out of love, but out of unresolved control. And this next realization is what finally breaks the illusion, because eventually, you understand something that changes how you see the entire relationship. If someone only fights for you after losing access to you, they were never protecting the relationship. They were protecting their influence inside it. And influence is not love. Control is not love. Emotional dependency is not love. But narcissists blur those lines so effectively that people confuse emotional intensity with emotional depth. And they are not the same thing. Because intensity creates addiction, but depth creates safety. And narcissistic relationships rarely feel safe for long. They feel consuming, unpredictable, emotionally unstable. Because instability increases emotional attachment, especially when moments of pain are interrupted by moments of relief. That cycle conditions people to chase emotional resolution constantly. And narcissists know that. That's why they often come back right when your nervous system finally begins calming down. Because your peace represents something dangerous to them. Emotional independence, and emotionally independent people cannot be controlled the same way. That's why your healing changes the dynamic completely. Because healing removes the emotional hooks they once relied on. The guilt stops working the same. The silence stops terrifying you. The mixed signals stop controlling your emotions. And once that happens, their influence weakens dramatically. That's why awareness matters so much. Because awareness interrupts automatic emotional reactions. And once automatic reactions disappear, manipulation loses power. That's when you finally stop romanticizing the return. You stop seeing it as destiny, or unfinished love, or proof that the connection was special. And you start seeing it for what it really was, an attempt to reopen emotional access. Because narcissists often don't miss you the way you missed them. They miss the control, the certainty, the emotional availability, the influence they once had over your mind and emotions. But once you heal, once you truly detach, once you stop reacting automatically, something changes permanently. And when they return, you don't just see emotion, you see patterns, you see timing, you see strategy, and most importantly, you stop confusing being emotionally pursued with being emotionally valued. Because those are two completely different things. And once you fully understand that, the cycle finally starts losing power over you. Because now, you're no longer asking, why did they come back? You already know they didn't miss losing you. They missed losing control over you.